56-16. Where do you want to start? Got a couple bangers this week.
Well, Iran or Israel, we could talk right away about that. Like,
Okay, this is what I want to say about Iran and Israel. Okay, I'm not an expert, and I don't know anything about this. I think they're two sort of Stone Age countries. I don't believe anything either country says ever. I just want to point something out. Okay, Israel, I think, is not telling the truth about a couple things here. I got to be honest, and I'll tell you why I think this and what I think it about. On October 7th, Israel let guys riding oscillating fan go-karts with like tarps attached to them, parachute through their air defenses, beat their intelligence system, and massacre a bunch of people at a music festival. I'm not doubting the massacre happened. I think that happened. I don't know the exact details, but certainly people died in tragic fashion. So Israel lets that get by them somehow. Okay. Weird, but okay. The people who have Mossad agents everywhere, and we're employing Epstein, and as we talked about on Axis of Easy, are making phone spyware or whatever. Like what is that Pegasus thing is like their brainchild? Okay, great. So they're doing all that, but they let the guys riding the oscillating fans into the country through the air. Okay, that's fine, I guess. Then I'm told that the same country actually had explosives planted on Palestinian brass, the brasses like radios and cell phones years ago, like took control of supply chains and covertly planted on singular units bombs of this nature, bombs of some nature, I should say, on these devices. You may remember videos of people's like pockets blowing up in grocery stores, and Nick Fuentes, you may love him or hate him, but did a video on this and it was like, it's unbelievable this is going on. Okay, so they let the guys on the parachutes from Canadian Tire into the airspace. They get through the Iron Dome. Intelligence doesn't pick it up. But then at the same time, they're so precise and so well-connected, and the intelligence is so good that they're able to get this stuff into the homes of the Palestinian brass. Then going back the other way, in order to destroy to end the Hamas reign in Palestine, these guys have to like napalm the entire country, steady hospitals, children, women, dogs, cats, doesn't matter. Everyone's got to go. Okay. Fire sale, no pun intended. We're destroying everything. We're not looking back. This is the only way we can make sure that we get all the Hamas leadership, blah, blah, blah. Okay. That's a bit weird. Doesn't really jive with the radios thing. Then in Iran, there's videos, pictures, and public officials, including Trump, saying that Israel had the wherewithal, the means, the knowledge, the intelligence, the weaponry, the precision to kill people with missiles in their apartments on the 7th floor the day of the attacks. Like, you cannot both be so incompetent that you allow the guys on the Canadian Tire parachute go-karts to come through the Iron Dome and your intelligence doesn't pick it up, but then also be have enough finesse and brilliance to pull off the radio explosives and the high-rise so many executions
here, Joey.
I agree, but this doesn't jive.
Knows.
Nothing jives.
Nothing
jives. And like I'm so sick of the propaganda around this whole thing. Whether it's the Israel-Palestine, now Israel-Iran, like the propaganda is like nothing I've ever seen. I'm not a student of propaganda. I'm too young to remember stuff like.
Do you see other people saying how much they support this or that?
Yeah, it's like everyone is like militant about it. Militant.
Do you know that Israel's GDP per capita, where would you say it ranks compared to Canada?
Lower.
Like significantly, a little bit,
lot, and their M2 is worse than their M2 growth is worse than the US, right?
So it's about $1,000 less than GDP per capita.
Crazy. Crazy.
So it's very, very close.
Okay.
So their GDP per capita is quite high. So in terms of that metric, and that's a very popular metric we use in the CBP. The country is doing very well.
Yeah.
Right. And granted, a lot of could be funding from the United States is propping this up, but it is right. Like, and Iran, have you seen pictures of Iran before the revolution?
I have, but I think those pictures are a bit misleading.
Explain how.
I think that there was still like no actual political freedom. Like women in bikinis is great. I'm all for women in bikinis, but the freedom to say things about the regime is really the only thing that matters.
Oh,
I don't think
you
they had
couldn't.
it then. Yeah,
You,
that's
and
right.
I don't know for certain, but if I were to take a guess, you get your head taken off if you went against the Shah.
Yeah.
But with that being said, if you look at it, seemed like people had a little bit more freedom with respect to, as you mentioned, going to the beach and stuff like that. But another thing I look at is GDP per capita of Iran.
Yeah.
And if you look at it right after the revolution, it was like it went up and down like a little bit, but it really didn't go higher until 2004 dollar wise. And I'm talking without taking into account inflation. 25 fucking years before, without taking into consider inflation, before GDP per capita went up in Iran. And that was because then the price of oil started going up, and then it really kicked. But it's just trying to show you like they were stagnant for a very long time. Now, of the two countries, if you look at GDP per capita, Israel is far ahead of Iran. Now, if you believe that the best revenge on somebody is living better, if you believe that, Israel should have just done nothing. Yeah. Because just clearly, just by looking at this, they are doing better. But you know what, Joey? I don't live there.
Yeah.
I don't have family there. I don't know very much. All I know is this thing's a fucking mess. And I feel for the people that are involved. I feel for the people that are, if you're living in Iran, if you're living in Israel, and all of a sudden a fucking bomb comes down and your house is wiped out or a family is wiped out or whatever, like that's bullshit. Like that's fucking bullshit. But this is the shit that's been going on for a very long time. How do you fix this? I don't know. And this is now the way they're trying to lure in the United States for assistance.
Oh my God, I know.
And I can't blame them because I would do the same thing if I were them. But I probably wouldn't have started in the first place. But what the fuck do I know? But this is bringing us fucking really close to a World War III, right? Like Pakistan saying we're going to get involved and they have nuclear weapons. France is saying they're going to get involved and they have nuclear weapons. And Europe is not very far from Iran. It's just you go over the Black Sea, cross over Turkey, and there is Romania. There's Moldova. So it's not very far. So they're within striking distance of, not that they would go after Europe, but they potentially can. Like this is a fucking mess. And all now you have Trump fucking, he's stroking his ego on his birthday, bringing in that fucking parade.
I love that.
So like, this is North Korea level bullshit, right? Apparently this cost some $25 to $50 million to.
They're not even marching in lockstep, by the way. That parade looked pretty lackluster. I'm not a military guy, but it looks like crazy. Yeah, and all caps in the chat. It was the broadcast was sponsored by Coinbase.
So that's very. It reminds me a lot of North Korea. To show, and it's basically look at. I have the biggest fucking dick in this room. Now that money that they spent on that parade could have easily been directed into something else. Shelters for the homeless, food for like there's something else that could have been better use of that money. It's fucking bullshit that they're doing this. And you know what? And even on top of that, now every time they have to do a speech, I'm going to go into a little bit of the rant here. Just fucking 2 years ago, if this was if they had this same type of event, there would have been no fucking plexiglass, no bulletproof glass. They just would have had the speech. But the world has changed so much now that you can't. We've had people getting shot. Trump fucking getting shot last year. Fucking two people in two elected individuals in Minnesota got killed. Fucking shot.
Yeah.
Like what this world is just going to held in a handbasket, and it's just happening all so fucking fast. It's sudden, and still the price of Bitcoin still stays at 107, 108. That's fucking rather bullish to me.
Yeah.
There's so much that's going on here. I don't know what to fucking think, and who the hell knows where this is going to go.
I think it's pretty popular take and a pretty popular understanding of military displays, as they relate to let's call it statewide or state level budgets. When governments get into fiscal trouble, they try and provoke a war, right? This is pretty standard. There's a great chart floating around on Twitter of a comparison between Israel's M2 and America's M2, and Israel's M2 makes America look like Bitcoin issuance, It's so bad. It is a nasty, nasty chart.
And that's something that I was just schooled on. I did not realize.
Yeah. So they're like, their prints
That
are
was
happy
the
over
case.
there, which is nuts. I haven't looked at Iran zone 2. I don't care. Also, just like as an aside, I don't think it's like anti-Muslim or anti-Semitic to just not care about these things. Someone accosted me on Twitter a couple of weeks ago because I just said like I just don't care about overseas like Bronze Age, Old Testament style shit. You know, like
It's not quite that. I like.
well, I mean, you could say whatever you want, but the fact of the matter is that's where it started. And so it's ongoing. The origin of this conflict is biblical. And, it's stupid. It's just like, why America to get involved in this, it's hard for me to understand. Now, from the Bitcoin side of things, and it sounds like you agree. I'm sure you agree, in fact, but I'll say it anyway. The reason you want to have Bitcoin during times like this is not because it's going to like help you escape a country that's in tatters when a war breaks out, although it might. But if you're like an American, Canadian, European citizen, you're looking at this and thinking these guys are going to print like crazy to fund this war. Germany, obviously, removing any limitations it had on deficit spending to meet its NATO requirements. Canada trying to do the same. Meeting its 2 or 3% target. There's some funny accounting there. For example, Canada rolled Coast Guard into the Department of Defense, which adds to our total NATO spend as far as like defense spending, but doesn't actually increase the dollar amount spent. See if you can wrap your head around that. There's going to be other tricks like that, I'm sure, in a lot of NATO countries. But the thing I'd say to people is, look, that war is not cheap. War is inflationary every time, all the time, and in every case. And so if you think that there's going to be a war, Bitcoin is the thing you want to own. Gold would be great too. Gold is, a metal that reacts to instability more than it reacts to inflation. But all the same, these things are going to rip because governments have to print. There's no war bonds, Len. No one's coming around trying to sell me war bonds to support the effort. They're just going to print it.
If there's a war that's like on a wide scale,
yeah,
which Western nation, in your opinion, would be the best one to live in?
America.
Canada.
Oh man, I disagree with that, but okay.
Canada, because again, we have a lot of things that we have available to us: water, energy. Really, like we're kind of.
Oh, you're talking about like a real like.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! I don't know. I haven't given it enough thought. The only thing about Canada
maybe Australia.
We can't defend
so far away.
We're like so.
But Canada's got to be top of the list, right? No, I'm talking about West. Like
I don't know. I think the chat's gonna explode on that take. I don't know. I don't know what the delay is between us and them, but I'm expecting a bunch of messages to come in.
There may be, but I'm looking at Canada because of the fact that it's very difficult to invade. We're far enough away.
Yeah.
We're not United States, so if you're gonna bomb anywhere, you probably bomb the States, not us, and we would probably feel it. We feel it, but not to the same degree over there. But we have a lot over here that we could sustain ourselves. Other countries don't have that. Japan imports shit, right? Like Canada, we could essentially just close our borders if we really wanted to, and we could just live. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts. I think
some great takes in the chat. Iceland, the Falklands. I don't even know where the Falklands are. That could be a place in Skyrim for all I know.
No, that's just outside Argentina. Don't you know the Falklands War between Argentina and Brazil? UK.
Does it look like I know that war? Does it look like I'm familiar with that conflict, sir? No.
You should be. Because that helps for a great soccer right? The hand of God.
The only thing more boring than the Falklands War is soccer. Okay, so.
Oh, it's a beautiful game. When it's done right, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Really.
Anyway, we don't have to talk anymore about Israel and Palestine, all these things going on over there. What else?
We'll talk about the weather.
Sure.
Let's talk about the fucking weather. Because how was the weather for you for the past 6 weeks or so?
Pretty cold. Pretty cold.
Yeah. Well, apparently, if you talk to some people, we had the hottest fucking May on record. Right? Or the second, whatever the fuck it is. Either way, second one was May on record, exceeded only by May 2024, which of course was last year. And they were saying this was fueled by a record-breaking heat wave in Greenland, scientists were saying. And they were saying that over there in Greenland, I can't pronounce this fucking name, the temperature reached 14.3 Celsius on May 19th, which is 13 Celsius higher than the May average. So keep that in mind. It's 13 degrees higher than the May average. That was 14.3
in Greenland.
In Greenland. Now I checked Greenland this upcoming week. Yeah. Not one day above 3 Sorry, not 1 day above 4 Celsius.
Strong.
So it's far below the seasonal average for the next week. Far fucking below. So this shit's gonna average out in the end. It will be they'll say the second hottest in May. It'll be the fucking second coldest in June. And you know what they call this? I call it just the weather, but they'll say it's fucking climate change.
Heat wave, climate change.
Why
are we being told in Canada, by the way, that it's the hottest May on record when the factor that really, like the lever that was pulled was a hot day in Greenland? Like, how is that? Like, what these guys say they're data driven and all this stuff, but they refuse to look at anything before like the 40s or something. And then also,
I will have
a hot day in Greenland gets a headline, hottest May on record. The fuck are you guys talking about?
In Europe, though, it has been warmer
we go outside. I get in my car with shorts on to go to the gym. My legs are cold. It's not hot.
Fucking freezing.
It's not
100%.
Like what? You can't tell me it's the hottest May on record. I go by the patios to have, to walk my dog or to like go. Earlier today, I walked Shoppers Drug Mart. The patios have people on them. Why? It's hot today. 2 weeks ago, the patios didn't have anyone on them. Why? It's cold that day. It's cold.
And that was almost all of North America. If you look at the weather map for North America, it's been very chilly.
On the Weather Network,
been warmer
now,
than normal.
But
it's not crazy warmer. It's only 2, 3, 4 degrees warmer than normal, at least from the cities which I was looking at. So this shit all averages out in the end.
I don't know.
Right?
I just don't think this. Like it,
you know what? The one
that
thing
headline,
that
we had to laugh about that one for sure. Yeah.
You know, one thing they don't talk about. Like the droughts and extra rain and shit like this is happening. This is the one thing that I'm wondering if this is contributing to it. If you believe that cloud seeding does anything to do with increasing precipitation.
How many warnings can YouTube put on this video? Climate, cloud seeding, Israel, Palestine.
Think about this. We live in a closed loop, right? The Earth, right? Yeah. If you're gonna, and I'm not sure if cloud seeding even fucking works. It may or may not. But if we believe it does, and it could cause more rain to fall in a particular area that wouldn't get it, that means downstream it's going to get less rain. Because that rain that would have fell somewhere downstream fell before, right? So that means what happens later, that area is now going to be fucking drier as a result. So you're going to say, oh, now it's climate change.
Is that how it works?
We're shooting what's that?
Is that how it works?
If
it's like zero sum, rain is zero sum on planet Earth? Is that?
Yes, because there's going to be some humidity in the air, and you're trying to cause that to fall earlier than it should be. And now that area would have less humidity because the rain fell, and then as it goes to the next spot, it would just have less humidity, and then eventually it's going to rain again. But where it would have naturally fallen, it's not happening, and now we say, "Oh fuck, why isn't it doing it?" Well, there's cloud seeding that's going on, and I'm not saying this does change weather. I'm not saying this even increases the rate. It's some people say it does or it doesn't work. I don't fucking know. I'm not a climatologist. But if it does change the ability to have rainfall where it shouldn't, then everything beyond that is going to be impacted as well. Everything is. And nobody's talking about this. Somebody should talk about this.
Well, you just did.
You're in a fucking
you just did.
Joe, you ever hear of the chief heat officer?
That's what my teammates call me in the fourth quarter. Yeah.
Well, this is
that's what my wife calls me when the fucking temperature in the bedroom is 80 degrees. She says I'm a furnace, the chief heat officer.
So it's a relatively new role in governments, focusing on the coordinating responses for extreme heat and developing strategies to mitigate its impacts. And this is actually like it's a title, it's a job. People.
What government? What government?
Plug in a fucking fan, stand in front of the fan, and you're good to go. That's what I say. Heat kills far less than does the cold.
Yep.
That's stats. If there's a chief heat officer job, I want to fucking apply for that.
What government is doing this? Where are we seeing this here?
I don't know, but Toronto doesn't have one, but apparently they're looking to have one.
Toronto needs a chief heat officer.
Well, they fucking do, baby.
Toronto.
For sure. It's sweltering outside. Well, not yet. Maybe one day will be. And you need that guy or gal or whatever to go out there and say it's fucking hot.
This is why you don't ever hire like climate officers, heat officers, cold officers, because once you do that, the incentive for that whole branch, that whole bureau is going to be to tell people how fucking hot it is all the time, how cold it is all the time, how much the climate is changing. Like, it's not about whether or not you think this stuff is happening. I don't give a shit what you think. What I care about is that there's clear incentives here for people who work in these roles to convince everyone that it's happening. It's steady. Like the convincing never stops. May was the hottest May on record. No, it wasn't. Like what are you talking about? I play football every Saturday morning. It's fucking freezing. It's like 8 degrees. I told my wife a couple weeks ago I went to play first game of the season. I guess it was like May 2-4, maybe the 23rd, 24th, whatever weekend that was. And I play the whole game for my team. I play receiver, I rush. I'm literally doing sprints the entire game. If anyone is warm on that field, it should be me. And I told her after that game, I had to chill the whole day. Like an old woman. I was walking around my house in a hoodie and sweatpants because I just could not shake the chill. Do these guys think that we don't know what's going on here? We are now, Len, relying on the Zoomers to bail us out of this. I appreciate that I don't see many Zoomers at protests. I don't see many Zoomers believing the things they see on TV, watching TV, any of that stuff. And so I'm waiting for the boomers to die out and we can just get past all this chief heat officer nonsense and chief whatever officer nonsense. We got to get off this train, man. Got to get off this train. They wonder why they can't shrink city budgets. Like, here's why. Because you keep hiring chief heat officers. Toronto's gonna need a chief pride officer soon too, because they're losing a boatload of money all the time.
You know what? They're $900,000 last I heard short for running the parade. They
can't run it?
I believe they're still gonna run it,
Wow.
but the shortfall is gonna be around $900,000. I don't know how you get to a point where you overspend that much, but they are. Right? Like,
how much of that is Chow's wardrobe? I wonder. That's got to be. Is that a 5-figure wardrobe? I wouldn't be surprised. People in the chat, by the way, BC Priest is saying I drink too much milk. No, I don't. There's no such thing. That's not true.
So they are still going to go ahead. A lot of sponsors have cut bait, as we said last week.
Are we moving to a new story here? We're transitioning to a new story, the Pride Parade.
Want to talk G7?
Sure.
We had G7 and
how about?
Hey, G7 is going on. I have to give them credit though.
Yeah.
The last time Canada hosted it, in their infinite wisdom,
there was riots. Was there not? It was in Toronto, like 2008 or something.
Why?
Maybe?
Why do you have it? I'll tell you something, Joey.
Okay.
That was in downtown Toronto.
It was.
And I had friends that worked in the area that they closed off, and what they were told. This is before that there was the work from home shit and all that people had the ability just because they forcefully worked from home just 5 years ago. So it was before all this infrastructure came out. They were told, stay home. You're taking vacation. I don't want to take vacation. I want to go and take my vacation in the winter. Stay home. You're taking vacation.
It was a ghost town. Yeah, it was.
That is fucking bullshit. If you're going to do something like this, do it in the boonies like they're doing right now. I give them credit doing this. I can't even pronounce the fucking name in Alberta, but it's in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
They could close that area off and it's going to do minimal impact. I'm not saying nobody's going to be impacted negatively, but the amount of people impacted from this versus doing downtown Toronto, it's night and day. Why the fuck would you do? And then the fucking fake lake. Remember that?
Yeah.
Come on. It's how much money was spent on that for a fucking photo? Get the fuck out of here. So much money was spent.
Okay, let me ask something. Who do you think picks where the G7 is as far as like the location in the host country?
That's a good question.
Is it PMO?
That's a good question. I would assume it's got to be the sitting government. So somehow either PMO or
I think it's a sign, right?
Fucking Harper and fucking crew for that one.
Yeah. So is it a sign that Trudeau Carney, whoever chose Alberta as opposed to somewhere in Laurentia? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I just applaud the fact that it's being done in a much more rural area.
Same. And much more scenic, by the way. The photos and videos look really nice.
You don't have to fucking build a fake lake.
Exactly.
Not only are you impacting fewer people, but it's probably logistically so much easier to deal with rather than having all these streets and planes flying over, potentially flying over in the middle of nowhere. Nothing is going on. I mean, I forgive me for the people that live in that part of Alberta, but in just comparing it to downtown Toronto, it's fucking, like I say, it's night and day. Yeah. But did you see Carney, what he was saying about Donald Trump?
Showering praise on Donnie there. Yeah. I don't think that that speech, that address will make it to mainstream news, but certainly the elbows up crowd, man, one reason after another to put their elbows down. If you haven't seen Carney talking about Trump, I think you should watch it. I honestly, by the way, I think that it's cordial to speak to a world leader this way, especially one that's in a tumultuous situation thanks to commitments overseas that he may or may not keep. I don't know, but it certainly was not what he campaigned on. I'll say that. And
what about the negotiations of the first right of refusal? That was
interesting. Yeah. So
resources.
I should note that the Economist pulled that story because they didn't feel that great about the sourcing. I think that's bullshit. I think that it's probably true. And what they didn't feel that great about is how it made our government look. I think that unofficially America has right of first refusal on all our resources anyway. Don't you?
I'll be honest. I don't give a fuck.
They're the best. Yeah, but it's important. It's important as a signpost. Directionally, it's important because that if we can't sell to them,
I just want it to go to
sell
market
somewhere else. Yeah,
I want it to go to market, and I'm happy that it would be going to. I'm going to quote unquote an ally versus
for sure.
Right. So like if they want to buy it and they're buying at the price, it's market price. Mm-hmm. All the more power to them. Fuck, just take it. Yeah. Go ahead, it's all yours. I
think America. I mean, people who say that America is like getting a crazy deal here, like. It's in the title. We're a bit of a joke, not because we don't know how to negotiate, though that may also be true, but because there are people in this country who think we are not already giving America the first right of refusal on literally everything we do. Like everything we do, America gets the first right of refusal on. I don't know how that's controversial or if it's controversial. Certainly, I think the older crowd would have some commentary about that or some response to that would be, probably emotionally driven. But if you look at everything from cultural exports to terrorist lists to more modern issues like fentanyl and money laundering and things of this nature, America tells us what to do and how to do it. And when they say jump, we say how high. And it's always been like that. They're the global superpower. Why would they not exercise that authority where they could? And, don't forget, we are reliant on them, not just as our biggest trading partner, but as our defense. We can't defend any of our longest borders without them, certainly not from other global superpowers. So, we don't have a lot of choice. If we ever do come out of this, zero military spend culture that we're in and build something that's competent on the defense side, maybe that'll change. But for now, as Trump said to Z-Man once upon a time, we don't have the cards. We don't have the cards.
He's there, eh?
I'm surprised by that.
So they have.
What's he doing there? Why would he be there?
So they invited not only G7, but they extended to the Brazilian Prime Minister, Indian Prime Minister, Z-Man, and I can't remember who else is there, but it's a few others.
Japan? Is Japan there?
They're part of G7.
Are they? I don't know.
Yeah. Is Russia? Did they invite?
I can't imagine. I can't imagine he'd be there. No.
So, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay, let's next one.
Are we still planning on joining the European Union? Did that gain any traction? Is that dead in the water now? Can we stop pretending that was ever possible? Or are we going to keep going with that? What are we doing?
Let's talk about this next story because this one is. I can't sugarcoat it. I'll try my best to dance around the contentious part of the title. CTV News. It says no jail time for BC man with relatively modest collection of images. Now, this collection of images you could kind of figure out.
CP. It's CP.
The judge ruled this. The details are as follows. This piece of work named Mark Keenan pleaded guilty to possessing and distributing these images.
Distributing.
Yeah, in a provincial court in BC. And he was handed down a conditional sentence of 2 years less a day, house arrest for the first 18 months of his sentence, then bound to a 6 p.m. curfew for the remainder. And they did a raid of his house back in 2018, and on his electronic devices, they found 6 images. And the judge says, although there's no strict mathematical relationship between the size of the collection and the length of the sentence, the size of the collection has often been held as an aggravating factor. And so he also says it stands to reason that a modest collection, while not a mitigating factor, could nevertheless distinguish it from other cases. No. In my humble opinion, one image is one too many.
It's like a cockroach. If you see one, there's 100 more you didn't see. And distribution, like having child porn is enough to go to jail for life, in my opinion. Distributing it you should get the death penalty for that. I really do believe that. Like, you need to bring back capital punishment for that. And I'll note one other thing here. The recidivism rate for something like this is above 50%. So what do you think is going to happen after 2 years? Like, are we not learning any lessons around here? Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
don't,
And
I
I'm
don't.
wondering if there's a chance to appeal this decision and then for imposing
Who's
a
going to
stricter
appeal?
sentence.
Whoa,
Does
who's going to?
could the government impose a stricter sentence like through an appeal? I don't
They're
know.
not going to fucking do that.
I just look at this and I'm wondering, man,
They're
this
not
is
gonna fucking
a step in the wrong direction.
big
You're
time.
setting a precedence here, right? In any future cases that have a similar amount of images or less.
What's a
because then-
modest size, kitty porn collection that can?
Well, we now
save
know
you-
6 images,
Yeah,
right? And so if somebody comes with
that's
4
so
images
fucked
next,
up.
well,
That
okay,
is so fucked up.
6 equals 2 years, then 4 would be 1
It's
point.
it's hard. It's hard for me to understand the rationale of the judge. The judge, by the way, looks like he's youngish guy. Like he's not. You would think that. I need to know what is the jurisprudence behind this? Like, is there what is the case law? What is the? There's nothing. Like this guy doesn't point to anything in his ruling. Maybe in the official documents that I will admit I haven't read. But what is the rationale? How could this possibly be rationalized? How could
I don't know. That's why in my
if you're a
humble
member of
opinion,
this community,
one is one too many.
yeah. If you're a member of this community, like how do you,
Yeah, I don't know.
Baffling to me. Baffling.
It is what it is. Next thing I want to discuss, Joey. This one slipped through the cracks many months ago, in fact, but I still think it needs to be discussed.
Okay.
And, at the time, think of all the times you or somebody needed a healthcare system, somebody that you had to go to ER, emergency, waiting for MRI, and maybe joint replacement. Think of how much time has to be invested in this, hours, months, years in some cases for joint replacement. FIFA, back in February, I can't believe I fucking missed this. They requested the Canadian government, because they're going to be doing this World Cup here next year, and United States and Mexico. They're requesting priority healthcare access to their athletes and VIPs, not just the athletes, the VIPs as well. And that was for what's being placed in Vancouver and Toronto. That's where the games are going to be played. Fuck no. This is a huge no. We're already fucking at the full. There's no opportunity to jump the queue. Imagine you're a construction worker, Joey. You're like one half the breadwinner of your family. If your salary is taken away, your family's going to struggle. You get hurt on the job, you fall off the scaffold, where the fuck it is. You got to get an MRI, you got to X-ray.
It's months. Yeah.
Somebody else comes in because they're playing a sport, comes in and just bumps the queue. You wait. You paid into this as a fucking taxpayer. No. Fuck, just fuck you. Use the magic spray on these athletes like they do on the pitch. Try to use that to try to help them. Send them back to fuck home. And the idiots that paid into the system, if this ever comes into our second class, we're forced to wait. Fuck you, FIFA. Right? Fuck you for even requesting such a thing. Yeah. And this next one, I'm just going to be very brief. It just helps solidify why I'm saying fuck you to FIFA, because there's a Canadian man out there was waiting 6 months to get an MRI in Canada. Finally got one where he was on vacation in China, paid $190.
Crazy story with videos and everything. Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying fuck you to FIFA for this. If this guy had to wait 6 months and had just traveled abroad to fucking get it done, these soccer players and VIPs, might I add, these fucking VIPs, fuck them all. They don't need to fucking bump the queue. They could wait.
Most Canadians who are not working minimum wage jobs would be better served going to UB or Buffalo MRI to get any imaging done. It's much faster. The machines are of higher quality, and it's not that expensive. It's maybe $1,000 max. I think you can get a full body MRI scan in the States for about $2,000. So, there's no reason to wait. Now, here's a difficult question. Okay, when you're talking about the FIFA players who come here, expect to skip the line, never paid in, fuck them. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. Why should we allow immigrants to do it?
Are they bumping the queue?
They're definitely adding to your wait time when you need something.
They are, but they're just being added just like everybody else.
But they didn't
one
pay.
issue I have,
Yeah.
like the real issue I have,
Yeah.
is the bumping of the queue.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
somebody else is now waiting longer because somebody else got it first.
Yeah.
Because they're VIPs.
I feel a lot worse. I feel a lot differently about that. I think that if you just came here, you should have to wait, 5 years before you can get free healthcare, or you have to go to the back of the queue, or there has to be some secondary queue for those people. I really do
Now,
believe that. I think most Canadians, if you ask them, would say something similar. And if they
Now,
don't say
I
something
could be
similar,
wrong
they
on
would
this.
say it after they get delayed by months and months and months for an MRI.
I could be wrong on this, but from what I remember, things may have changed. A newly landed permanent resident, somebody that flew into Canada and gets permanent residency,
Yeah.
because they file their paperwork and everything, they have to wait a period of time before they get Ontario or OHIP coverage. There's a
but
period of time.
do you believe that if they went to
Not
the
instant.
ER, like they wouldn't get, the
They
full
have to
suite
pay.
of?
I'm not sure if they get reimbursed later on. once they
Yeah,
present the card.
exactly.
But that's the way I
don't
understand
think
it.
so. Yeah, I don't think so.
Now it's different for a refugee, for somebody that comes here and makes a claim.
Asylum, refugees. Yeah.
Yeah, and for the period of time that's being there's the decisions being waited on, or once they become a legitimate and is deemed to be a legitimate refugee case, then at that point they get some federal healthcare thing, and so yeah, it is what it is.
I want to see Costco get MRI machines. That's what I want to see. Costco, this is a full featured Costco, gold bars, gas bar, restaurants, and MRI machine all on the first floor.
No, and India's did not qualify for it. Neither is China. I'm pretty sure they didn't.
Len is talking about a comment in the chat about if India qualified for the World Cup. I doubt it. Yeah.
No. See this guy that was scaring off thieves in Vaughan. Some thieves were trying to steal his Lamborghini, or at least doing something with his Lamborghini. So he decided to discharge his gun to scare off the thieves, and
into the air.
Yeah,
bunch of charges. Yeah, caught a bunch of charges.
That's
okay. So let me tell you something. I mean, maybe we'll finish on this story. I don't know, but I think I might have said this on. Did I say this to you in private, or I say it to someone in private? I forget. So forgive me if I said it on the show. But Will, a friend of mine who was on Two Whites and a Blue with me, him and his girlfriend rode their bikes over to our place a few weeks back, and we were talking about a similar story. I think somewhere else in this great country of ours, where a guy had a weapon, discharged it, and ended up being in a little bit of trouble with the police because he was trying to prevent a robbery or trying to scare off an invader or something like that. And I said to Will, and Will agreed, even before we had compared notes on our thoughts about stuff like this, that eventually what's going to happen is there's going to be an obvious issue, or like there's going to be an obvious like watershed case where somebody is defending their home. They have a wife and kids. They have no violent history. There's no Lamborghini in the driveway. It's just a guy who's sick of fucking dealing with the shit that he's dealing with in his neighborhood. And the story is going to be that he owns a gun. He's got the gun properly secured in his house. He takes the gun out. He kills the home invader. The home invader is following the pattern of home invaders that we've seen over the last 2 years, let's say. And there's going to be public outcry when the police try and take this guy into custody, or when the state tries to charge this guy with weapons charge or murder or whatever, aggravated assault, manslaughter, whatever the case law dictates. There's going to be public outcry, and the guy will win against the state on either a jury of his peers or whatever. And this is going to eventually be something that changes in Canada. The reason we don't have these laws now is because we never had these problems before. And now that we have these problems, one of two things is going to happen. Either we have to get rid of the problems, or we have to change the law. And the states has had this for a long time. Republican states specifically, red states specifically, have had this for a long time. Castle doctrine and things of this nature, where if someone is reasonably offending you to the point that you feel like your safety's in danger, you're on your personal property, your primary residence, whatever, and they are also on it and won't leave, and you feel threatened, you can shoot to kill. And it's not about whether or not, that person is, it's not about whether or not that person is right for taking the life of someone else on like the biblical ethics of it. The question is whether or not that guy has a right to defend himself in the face of what he views as mortal danger. And the obvious answer is yes. The thing that we seem to be having trouble with in Canada is whether or not someone breaking into your house in the middle of the night presents a mortal danger to you. The answer to that question unequivocally is yes. you should be able to kill someone who enters your home unapproved, unauthorized, in the middle of the night or anytime. You should be able to kill them. You have to. I'm a father now. You're a father, and I think that anybody who has a child or has experienced this before would say the same thing. That if I can't kill them, then what options do I have in that moment? I'm being told to leave my valuables out. I'm being told to give them whatever they ask for. But sometimes that's not enough. Certainly, if you see somebody in your house and they're identifiable to you, or they view themselves as risking identification down the road, taking your car may not be enough. Taking your gold jewelry may not be enough. They may kill you anyways. And so you have to be able to terminate somebody if they make that mistake and come into your home. I don't think this is a debatable point. And I think a lot of homeowners in places that have these problems frequently, and places where the police forces are basically telling you to just give up any valuables you have. By the way,
leave your keys at the front so that it's easier for them to take the car.
It's true. And it's never just the keys. Like the keys is the obvious thing, but like if you have family valuables or stuff with sentimental value, or, you know, like children's jewelry or whatever else. Like I'm trying to think, like this is like maybe predominantly in Italian households, but you know, my grandmother used to have jewelry around, and my dad and mom had jewelry around. And like, I don't think that a reasonable person would ever say, if they were in that situation, they don't wish they had the option to inflict a mortal injury on the invader. Like you have to have that option. And if you don't have it, but the other guy has it and clearly is willing to exercise it, then that's not fair. It's simply not fair. And just to tie a bow on it, like I said earlier, either you give people this option and limit it to home invasions or something, I don't know, but either you give them the option or you get rid of the problems. And we seem unwilling to even talk about the problems. In fact, we arrest the problems fairly frequently and release them on the same day or in the same 48 hours. So we have to make a change here. And I think it's going to come when someone who's an upstanding member of the community just is unwilling to back down, has the means to make a decision that protects his family and makes it. It'll be the right decision in the moment. And it's a question of whether or not the legal system and the community will back that person because they've also had enough. That's going to happen here at some point.
I think that's enough. We've been at, I fucking got to find my keys. I was in West Vancouver and then I lost my fucking car keys. I got to fucking find them. If anyone
what was the name of the street you lost them on?
It is what it is.
Yeah.
So if you could find it, that'd be fucking awesome. Just let me know, send me a DM. I'll come pick it up for you. So West Vancouver area, car keys, 2002 Jetta TDI. So, yeah. 500,000 kilometers plus. Still going, by the way. Still going. Daily driver. I'd fucking drive that anywhere. We'll get there.
Anyway.
It'll be pretty, but it'll get there.
God bless. Maybe we'll see you later in the week. Maybe we won't. But take care of yourselves in either case.
Take care.